Let's give it a minute until my subscribers get a notification. I'll flip this camera around for now and let's see who's coming. So I am in Oval. Let's just give it a minute because it is the very first time that I do a completely impromptu live, so no one knows yet. So let's give it a minute until people turn up. And guess what? I am in a graveyard. What a surprise. Let us know in the chat where are you tuning from if you're here, and we'll just give it a minute until we've got a few more people joining. Welcome everyone. So we are in Oval. We'll have a little live walk in the area because I wanted to test the system basically. The live feed is fairly new on YouTube. So YouTube has been kind of promoting their babies. They want us to try it out. So that's exactly what I'm doing. And welcome Herbivore. Nice to see you here. Did you get a notification? Is that how you know I'm live? California, welcome. So I'll just give it a minute or two, see if anyone else is joining, and then we'll have a little walk around here. Welcome Michelle, nice to see you here. So for those of you that usually follow me in landscape, I know it's vertical today. I know it's not ideal. It looks great when you are on a phone, but it's not ideal on a computer. Welcome Linda. Oh, perfect. You picked up your phone at the perfect timing. So it's gonna be a very short walk today. I wanna try, see what's happening with those vertical streams, because technically, according to YouTube, I know I tried the other day, it didn't work, but today it should work. They'll be visible in the vertical feed for lives, so people can literally find me, like if they were watching TV. You know, some people might be watching all the vertical lives, and they could end up on this live. So it might be a way to get a new audience. Let's see. I wouldn't get too excited quite yet, but if it does work, I might be doing a few, like the little snippets I used to do on Hego. Don't worry, I'm not gonna swap to vertical forever. It's just little snippets of London, so you can discover areas that we've not seen before in my tours, and also so we might pick up a few new audience to join the community. Right, let me go down so you can see where I am. And I'm gonna flip this camera around. So I'm not far from home. I'm in Oval, so I'm basically 6 minutes away from where I live. That's why I've picked up this amazing little graveyard, although it's not really the graves that interest me today. So see the tube station there? This is Oval, so on the northern line, one of the oldest tube lines really. Kennington station is actually the oldest surviving tube station. And welcome Soft CVP'd. Yeah, of course you can ask me a question, go ahead. That's what we are live for. Unless of course it's extremely personal, but yeah, go ahead. Hi Marilyn, nice to see you here. So this is St. Mark's Church. It dates to 1824 to be precise. Soft TV, go ahead with your question. So we're heading into a little graveyard, and guess what? There's a playground. So if you wanted your kids to come and play on dead bodies, it's the perfect place. Of course, it's no longer used as a graveyard today. It is. It has been a public park since the 1950s, really. So what they've done, Texas, nice, and welcome Lethargy. What they've done is they've moved. They haven't moved the bodies. The bodies are still here, but they've moved the headstones close to the wall. So So they're still here, but they are very much discreet on the side. And today literally today, every Saturday you have a little farmer's market here. So that's quite cool. You like those trees? Nice. Yeah, and it's a good timing in terms of light as well, because we have a little bit of a sunset over the church. Soft TV? Yes, I've missed the question. What was it? Let me try to scroll back up. Soft TV. I'm afraid I don't have any questions from you, Soft TV. Ask it again. Or if anyone has seen it, do copycat. So the graveyard has not always been a graveyard. Before 1824, it was part of what was called at the time as the Kennington Commons. Today, most of it is known as Kennington Park, and it was a site of executions. Now, we've seen in my tours quite a few famous execution sites in London. We've been, of course, to Smithfield, Newgate, the Tyburn in Marble Arch, execution docks by the river. Where else did we go? Well, the Palace of Westminster, St. Paul's as well, that was a place of executions. And even in Southwark, Ironmonger Gaol. So we've already seen quite a few, but we never actually came to this one. So this very graveyard here. Hey, a little friend. Hello. Where is he gone? There was a squirrel. He's gone. This was a site of executions from I think it's 1676 to 1799. About 129 men and 12 ladies were executed right here, and some of those executions were quite violent. The first one, in 1676, was a lady known as Sarah. She was burned alive. She was executed for, she was convicted of murdering her husband. She claimed, of course, that she was innocent, and that the husband had run into her when she was holding a pair of scissors. Quite hard to believe, as you can imagine. So she literally murdered her husband with a pair of scissors, and they tried to make of it an example. So she was burned alive right here. Her name was Sarah Elston, and they had, we know about it because of a couple of pamphlets that were published. Soft CV, I still don't see any questions from you. Feel free to type it down, of course. And there was one pamphlet in particular that was called Warning to Bad Wives. So she was the first one of a long series of executions. The most shocking ones might have been the one from the young men from the Jacobite uprising of 1745. If you've not heard of the Jacobite uprisings, to keep the story short, they, after the Stuarts, after James II in particular, that was a Catholic king, we tried to push the Catholics away from the throne. We had the Glorious Revolution, and after that, only Protestants were allowed on the throne. And after Queen Anne, of course, she had 17 pregnancies, no babies that survived. Hi, Sarah, welcome. Or not for long at least. We didn't have an heir to the throne, so they actually went and grabbed some cousins in Hanover, good Protestant, to put them on the throne. So George I, George II, and of course we had some people that didn't agree. They wanted the Catholics to be back on the throne. And so the Jacobites were those people trying to bring back the Stuart Catholic dynasty on the throne. And in 1745 they were trying to bring a chap called James Francis Edward Stuart and to put him back on the throne. That didn't work. and 9 of those young men were captured, and they were hanged, drawn and quartered here. So if you don't know what being hanged, drawn and quartered means, they would have been dragged behind horses, their heads probably slamming the pavement, then hanged, but not long enough for them to die. Hi Martin, welcome. You might know if you were hanged, especially with a short noose, often your neck was not broken and you'll be struggling, gasping for air for a few minutes. So that's when they would take them down from the scaffold, and then they'll quarter them. Often their genitalia would have been chopped off ahead as a symbol of to show that they were not worthy of any descendant. And then they were quartered, so you could be quartered with, I shouldn't do this, but let's do you could be quartered literally with a knife, be cut into 4 pieces. Or, if you were not so lucky, you might have one leg attached to one horse, the second leg to a second horse, one arm to a third horse, and the fourth limb to a fourth horse. And then those horses would be told to go 4 different directions. So not a very nice way to go, and that's exactly what happened to those Catholic young men right here. So the church ground at the time was part of the common. Today they are separate, but the commons at the time were a bit larger. The Jacobite executions, by the way, some of you might have heard of one particular one that led to the expression, when you say laughing your head off. It actually started with a Jacobite execution. His name was Simon Fraser. He was executed not here, he was beheaded by the Tower of London. And for his beheading, they had built some kind of a scaffolding. So the audience would have the very best view. That collapsed. People died. And Simon, he found it very amusing that people died at his execution. So apparently when they chopped his head off, he was still laughing his head off. So that's how we got the expression, and you can see how casual really they were about those executions. I mean, on execution day, you'd have thousands of people right here. It was a bit like a festival today, You'd bring the family, the kids, liters of ale, and later on the gin, and you'd watch people be beheaded or hanged, drawn and quartered. It was before Netflix. We didn't have much else to do, so that was the show time, really. And well, you know what? It's absolutely horrible. But nowadays we still watch a lot of violent stuff on Netflix, So luckily we've stopped all that. And the last execution here was, I think it's 1799. It was a chap from Camberwell, where I live. He was a fraudster, I think. And eventually they built the church in 1824. So no more executions here. So we are now in Kennington Park, which was also part of the Commons at the time. At the time, the Commons, they belonged to a manor here that belonged to the Duke of Cornwall. The Duke of Cornwall was, of course, for a long time the Prince of Wales, Charles, but it is now, of course, Prince William. So some of the land around here in Kennington still belong to the Prince of Wales, technically. And this little park here was also the site of an interesting gathering known as the Kennington Common fiasco that happened in 1848, and it was a big event, or at least they expected a massive event. We had one of the first, the very first political movement for the working classes. They were called the Chartists. They were, Victorian society was quite heavily divided between the different social classes, and people at Parliament, they had, there was no chance if you are working class that you'd get in there, you know. So the Chartists, they didn't ask for much. All they wanted, it is stuff that we take for granted today, really. They wanted universal male suffrage. We were not ready for ladies quite yet. They wanted equal size of electoral district. They wanted vote in a secret ballot and no property qualification, because you might know at the time you'd have to have property to be able to vote, you know. Since the reform in 1832 under Earl Grey, you know, the one that named the tea was named after, a few more people were allowed to vote, but certainly not the young working class men that had no property. And they wanted the members of parliament to be paid as well. Of course, all of that has happened today. The only one of their wishes that has not happened yet, they wanted an actual annual election of parliament. That's not happened. Let's go into the flower garden. And those Chartists, they had a meeting here. They wanted to do a peaceful protest to go and bring a petition to Parliament. And the authorities were, of course, massively scared, because we are, you know, right after the French Revolution, and that's what they feared, to be honest. They feared a massive, violent uprising here. The Duke of Wellington was in charge, and the security was mad. They had 120,000 special constable all across London just to do the security. The Bank of England was all protected. Buckingham Palace was full of cannons and stuff. And so they expected a massive uprising to start here. The thing is, it was a rainy day. So those working class people, they did come, but not as many as you would have expected. We don't know how many actually came. According to the government, only 15,000. According to the Chartists, 300,000. The Sun Observer reported 50,000, I think. So we don't really know, but they kind of, because of the rain, they kind of dispersed very quickly. And you didn't realize the skinny tour was a real one. Well, it's a quick one, Linda, it's a quick one. I'm just showing you this local area just to test the vertical stream and see if it's any good to get new people joining my actual lives. We'll see. Because people can just be scrolling like you'd be, you know, changing the channel when you watch TV. So that might allow people to discover me. Let's see. So yeah, those Chartists, they couldn't even actually cross Westminster Bridge. They were stopped by the authority. So they gave their petition that had, I think, 5 million signatures, but they actually proved that 3 million of them were fake. People had signed several times with fake names. So that was a fiasco. However, the Chartist movement, they cannot really be underestimated. You know, they kind of taught working class people how to be involved in politics, really. So that was the beginning of that. And there's another young boy that you might have heard of that spent quite a bit of time in here in Kennington Park. It is Charlie Chaplin. According to his biography, it is where he met his first girlfriend. Although I wouldn't necessarily trust what Charlie Chaplin says in his autobiography, because, as the Queen would say, recollection may vary. In his biography, he also claimed that he went into a pub in Southwark and he met the serial killer Severin Klosowski, known as George Chapman, quite a good Jack the Ripper suspect. And he claimed that the guy gave him a glass of water, probably poisoned. So you don't trust everything in biographies, as we've seen with Prince Harry. But yeah, according to what he said, he met his first girlfriend here. And we know he did spend a bit of time here because he was, as you might know, he grew up in poverty in Kennington, and he was actually taken to the Lambeth workhouse. which is not too far. And whenever he was released from the workhouse, he did come here. So maybe. And there's another lady that came around here, Mary Seacole. You know, we did a tour about her once. She did have some big charity event when she came back from the Crimean War. She was actually in poverty, and she had a major charity event at the north side of the park there, where people actually gave her enough to survive for the rest of her life, really. And there's also a game that was played here a lot, cricket. So before the oval was built in the 19th century, 1845 I think it was, cricket was played here in Kennington Commons. So that's a game I don't understand anything about. I think you'd really have to come from a country from the British Empire to understand the rules of cricket. I've been to a game before, but I don't understand anything, and it's so slow. They can play for hours and hours. But yeah, the famous oval cricket ground is here now. It was built on a patch where they used to plant cabbage. And that's a nice reflection here in the water. That's quite cool. So yeah, you had cabbage growing where we now play cricket. Probably one of the most famous cricket venues in the world. Cricket is actually quite old. We've got evidence of boys playing cricket in Guildford in the 1500s. So it's actually a fairly old game. And some of the first football matches were actually not football matches, but competition ones were actually played in the oval as well. So that's a beautiful reflection. I hope you guys are taking screenshots, because that's quite cool. Perfect timing, because if it was a little bit earlier, we had a bit of a cloud, so we wouldn't have seen that. You don't understand cricket either? Good. At least I'm not the only one. Yeah, I've worked at some games, because I used to do, when I started being a tour guide, sometimes in the winter I didn't have enough work, so I used to do agency work, and I've worked at a few games, but yeah, I don't get it. And it lasts forever. I don't understand how people don't get bored, because it's literally hours. Oh, look, it starts to look like spring already. Cool, so that was Kennington Park for you. Let me flip around to show you a little bit of the sunset. So it's not my local park, but I'm 5 minutes away. We're very lucky in London. We have a lot of green open spaces. It's not always been the case. You know, back in the days, the royal parks, you had to pay to get in the early Victorian times. This park actually opened as a park as such, I think in 1854. And that was one, if not the first, large free park in South London, so it was very, very busy at the time. I mean, it still is busy today, but we're very lucky today. We have a lot of green open spaces. You know, wherever you are in London, you shouldn't be more than 5 minutes away from an open park. Your dad was a cricketer, and there was always a lot of cake and sandwiches to deal with the boredom. Ah, that's good. At least you had food. Yeah. It's starting to feel like springs. We've got flowers everywhere. So yeah, that's good. If you get bored, you get the snacks. Because with shorter games like football, you probably don't need to eat that much. Well, I mean, soccer, European football, because American football, they do eat a lot. I used to work at Tottenham Stadium, where they do the NFL games, and apparently the amount of bean generated on a NFL day is like 6 times more than a normal European football day. So yeah, American football has a lot of breaks and a lot of food as well. Anyway, guys, that's gonna be the end of this little snippet. I'll show you my face again. Let me turn this off. And I'm very happy because actually when I started the live, it was raining a few drops. So we've been lucky to have the sun coming back for a bit of sunset. So for my regular audience, nice to see you again. And if anyone was completely new to me and you wanted to see a bit more of London, do give me a subscribe. I mainly do lives that are scheduled ahead and landscape, not so much vertical, but make sure you check out my live section. If you wanted to see a bit more, I like dark history, so murders, execution, anything like that. And I'll see you soon, guys. Have a good weekend. I've got 2 tours next week. So next Wednesday, we're heading into St. Pancras graveyard. Early afternoon, I think it is, 3 p.m. And next Friday, it's on International Women's Day. We're heading to, well, not far from here actually, we're heading to the Old Kent Road. Oh, and we'll see another site of executions that we've never seen before in my tours. So that is something to look forward to. And yes, Linda, yeah, horizontal for St. Pancras. So if I ever do any more of those little vertical ones, they won't be scheduled ahead anyway. They cannot be, apparently. YouTube forgot to let me know. That's why I was a bit surprised on 2 days ago when I tried. It didn't actually work. It was not on the vertical feed. So yeah, anything you see scheduled ahead will always be landscape, so very nice on a computer. If I need to study the analytics, but if I ever do any more of those little portrait ones, they won't be scheduled. They'll be very last minute, like this one today. So if you wanted to make sure you want to see those little vertical ones, you want to hit the bell. You know, if you hit the bell on every single notification, then you should receive a notification when I do go live impromptu. Cool. And Tish, welcome. And right, see you next week, guys. Have a great weekend and see you soon. Bye bye.